Okay, welcome to another one of these videos. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the elbow today. So I'm going to go into the study tab. I'm going to pick the elbow, phantom elbow anatomical, because we're going to do the AP projection first. So normally with an elbow you'd do an AP with the hand supinated, and then you'd do a lateral. So we're going to do both of those. Okay, so upper extremity, elbow left, patient's body part's going to be recumbent, and we'll do the AP. Okay, so I'm going to go to the exposure tab. This looks a little bit high, so I'm going to drop this down to 2 MAS, 2.5 perhaps, 2.5 MAS, and that's all set ready. So we'll go back to our X-ray room. I've already got a receptor, 2430, and we'll bring the patient into the room. I've also raised the table to working height. Okay, so what we've got here is a anatomical model, a phantom, and I'm going to raise it up like I do with all the anatomical models, so that we can actually position it in free space and then bring it down to the receptor. So this is the medial aspect, and this is the lateral aspect, because the carrying angle, you can see the humerus comes out here and then goes along there, so there's always a little bit of a carrying angle, which is valgus, in that it angles out over. So this is the medial aspect, so this is the ulnar aspect, and this is the radial aspect. So what we're going to do is just to rotate it until we sort of believe that the medial and lateral epicondyles are sort of equidistant. Using the scroll wheel. Okay, so once we're happy that that is reasonable, then we'll use the move over till the move over until we get a green hand, and then bring it down onto the receptor. I have to go from the other side, I think. For some reason it's finding it difficult to see the green receptor. There you go. So that's fine. That's where we're at. Now what we need to do next is put a marker on. So I'm going to put a left marker on the lateral aspect. And we need to now center, and the centering point here is about 2 centimeters below the line of the joint. Well, the line of the joint is 2 centimeters below the epicondyles. So if we identify where the epicondyles are, and then just center about 2 centimeters below that, which is about there, I think. Now this is the break point in the upper limb, where we start to put the top of the receptor proximally. So we've been doing hands and fingers and wrists. All of that, we'll actually put the top of the receptor distally, because it's by convention we see these and view them with the distal toes, fingers, etc. Upmost. But when we get to the in the case of the lower limb, the ankle, then we start to move the other way. But in the upper limb, we keep the wrist with the distal uppermost, and even the forearm is often displayed with the distal uppermost. It's only when we get to the elbow that we start to put proximal at the top. So I think that's fine. Moved that accidentally, didn't mean to. We'll move the marker into free space there, and we'll have a look and see what's going on. So, okay, so that's quite a nice elbow. The centering point worked quite well. We've got through the joint space there. So that's quite nice. Normally with an AP elbow, the bicipital tuberosity is overlapping the ulna, so we're a little bit externally rotated here, but that's fine. Most people wouldn't repeat that. You can do a special external rotation elbow. There is a page in the textbook that shows an external rotation elbow, and that is specifically to clear this so that you can see the radius in profile here. So we've got a little bit of an external rotation going on here, but it's not something that you would repeat this for, I don't think. Okay, so let's go over to the lateral now. So what we've got to do is we've got to discharge this patient, this phantom, because this phantom is the outstretched arm. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the other phantom, the 90-degree elbow flexed phantom, which is this one here. So we're going to make that selection, and we'll change this to upper limb again. And left elbow, recumbent again, and we're going to do so it's here for medial, because it's a lateromedial projection, so it's named medial in this database. And we'll drop this down. What was our exposure index? So our exposure was quite high even at the reduced exposure that I gave, so we'll drop this even further to something like 60 and 2. I think the lateral elbow is slightly thicker, so we'll probably need that. We'll bring the patient into the room. Okay, so again I'm going to raise this up and we're going to check the appearance here of the lateral elbow. I'm going to spin this round. Look at it from all different angles. Pop it down here. So this is the humerus, and this is the lateral aspect. I'm going to rotate it round until we get it parallel all the way around to the receptor. Okay, what we're trying to achieve is get the epicondyles superimposed of the humerus. So I'm going to rotate my receptor around so that the proximal humerus is at the top, and then we'll put our marker in there, and we'll now center. What we do is we center over the epicondyle of the humerus now. Let's see what we've got. That's a bit better. So we're not quite through here. We've got I think the humerus needs we need to raise the forearm so that we can externally rotate the humerus. I think that will work. So let's just do that. So basically we need to raise the forearm a little bit and see whether that has an impact on our image. Okay, so that was definitely the way to go. Now you can see that we're actually now superimposed. Our epicondyles are superimposed, whereas before they were not superimposed. We've got the nice demonstration of the olecranon fossa here, and radial fossa, whereas we couldn't see the olecranon fossa here at all before. So we can look for fat pads. We've got the soft tissue here, so we've got the anterior fat pad here is just visible, which is a slightly darker grey, and obviously the posterior fat pad isn't visible because it's not being pushed out by any sort of occult fracture. So you wouldn't expect to see that if there wasn't a fracture. And we are now dead in profile. We've got the radial head in profile, whereas before we didn't have the radial head in profile. So that's nice. Now there is another projection that we can do, which is relatively common, to see the radial head clear of the conoid process of the ulna, and that is to angle the beam. So what we're going to do is we're going to angle the X-ray beam about 30 degrees. Okay, so the textbook says 45 degrees angle towards the shoulder, so we'll just angle it a little bit more. And bring it down. And across. So this is where I'm going to use the ability to angle a gantry, because I want to be 90 degrees to the forearm. So that's good. And we're going to just collimate in a little bit, because we don't want as larger area of collimation as we had previously. Because we're only really after the radial head in this position. That would be a very bad place for the marker. So we're going to put the marker down here where it can't get in the way of anything. And we'll see what that looks like. Just going to, looking at our exposure index, I think we've still got a bit of latitude. I might go up to 2.5. Normally when you angle something, so when you normally x-ray something at an angle, then you tend to require an increase in exposure. So here you can see that we've got our angle helped, because we've now got our radius here and our ulna here at 90 degrees to the line of our angulation, and we've got the radial head clear of the coronoid process. So that's quite nice. So there's our elbow series there. Okay, so this is a nice appearance. We've got the shaft of radius, we've got the bicipital tuberosity, we've got the radial neck and the radial head, we've got the capitulum, or capitellum, and we've got the coronoid process of the ulna and the ulnar shaft. Here we've got the coronoid process, we've got the olecranon process, we've got the olecranon fossa, the olecranon process, we've got the medial epicondyle, lateral epicondyle. This medial epicondyle will have the ulnar groove, so the ulnar nerve will run here. We've got the radial head, radial neck, we've got the radial tuberosity. This is the radial groove of the ulna, and the shaft of radius. So we've got good bony detail here. Medial supracondylar ridge, and the lateral supracondylar ridge.